In business life, I was faced with a sustainability choice. I obviously chose the environmental way, which exceeded legislation and changed fundamentally the business. I then got a nickname called the Green Lady and got all these other types of initiatives around our business. For me, that was the changing platform, was to say sustainability is not an add-on, it's about making it part of your business. I was in that company for a few years. I developed a carbon offset product for travel for a motorist, which was a negative NPV business case, which I took to the board, which was a challenging experience. I then joined Fujitsu and I went back to my technology roots, if I can say, and I knew that there must have been an opportunity around how we could work with our customers and use technology. So I started up the consulting practice, which looked at the concept of green IT, and started that from Melbourne in 2007. I worked with a number of customers in a lot of industries to help them look at how technology and IT could help reduce emissions. We typically found with our customers, without any capital investment, you could reduce your emissions by 40% in the first year, which was a fantastic payback period for a customer. That meant that there was no capital purchase. This was around using technology and behaviour change and process. The big thing for me was that said, I can make a business out of being sustainability. And that was what drove our business. So I could get a revenue line, a revenue stream, and connect it back to my company. I've now rolled out the consulting practice in the UK and the US, and we'll be going to Canada next month to expand our offering. But the great joy of joining Fujitsu was that we had a heritage of sustainability back to 1938 and a policy that out to 2100, which I found was amazing. One of the things that Fujitsu does around innovation is actually set a bold target. We've set a target to reduce our customers' emissions by 15 million tonnes between 2009 and 2012 and 30 million tonnes by 2020. We believe it's an obligation that we actually have to use technology in society. So of that 15 million tonnes, 3 million will be around making our products better, but 12 million will be about solutions. And there's three big...
So let me stop you there. So on the solutions, what would you say is a solution that illustrates this kind of a wicked problem?
Yeah, and I think this is where we're seeing as sort of the real game changers in technology. We've spoken about mobility and the internet, and what we see is the next real phase and changing era is around when technology is going to learn from human behaviour and not the other way around. So our vision for 2020 is to look at a human-centric intelligent society. What we've focused on is that we have 91 data centres in 16 countries globally. How do you make a data centre sustainable when they consume so much energy? So we've gone through a massive program around making our data centres, first of all, as green as they can be. That ranges from using wind, solar, hydrogen fuel cells, and a range of different other initiatives at our data centres. That gives us a good platform. The next big change we're going to see from a technology point of view is cloud computing. So cloud computing on a sustainable data centre is a good platform for the future. Cloud computing means that you can buy infrastructure, an activity, content, or an application on demand. So as a customer, you don't need to have a server, you don't need to have all of the infrastructure that you would normally buy to set up your business. You can pay for that as you would pay for a service through a mobile phone. That again is a next game changer. What we've done to implement that is actually looked at the agriculture sector and said, how can IT play a role in agriculture? We've developed a smart agriculture cloud, which we've got a series of sensors on a farm, and those sensors actually measure the temperature, outside temperature, the soil temperature, the moisture, and we can then really optimise how we actually look after that crop. That solution has had up to about a 95% saving in greenhouse gas emissions for the farmer, and that's just one example of where we see the future going.
And where are you at in terms of large-scale deployments of those solutions? Where are you positioned?
Yeah, we're certainly working globally. We've done some recent pilot projects in New Mexico, where we worked with a remote community that had absolutely no access to internet. And what we did is deploy internet access over a smart grid, which provided 2,300 people who had no access to technology before 15-minute intervals of broadband, which has again changed their community and the role of technology. So we're certainly working in different markets with different solutions, and we see that our role as a company is to help reduce the emissions of all the other industries by 2020.
It's coincidental that the two of you are sitting next to each other. carry it. There is a... So,
I think what Alison is saying is good sort of ecology is good economics. I think the basis of whatever she said, because the practice is increasing, the products that she's done has made a change, and the uptake is more. So I think the theme that really comes through is good ecology is good economics anyway.
That's right. That's right.
And I also think that the other key thing is multiple people are benefiting from this. That's right.
Yes.
And that's key, because if people aren't going to just do it to do it for the goodness of it. They have to be benefiting from it in some way.
That there is a self-interest combined with group interest. So, given Fujitsu's, I guess, history and culture and something like this, sustainability, what were the difficulties you faced in either changing mindsets within the company or getting these kinds of initiatives going?
I mean, certainly working across 69 different countries, there's a mix of culture and a mix of mindsets, a mix of the understanding of climate change and the maturity. But I certainly think the one thing I have done is very much focused on how this is related to our business. This can generate revenue for our company and have a greater good for the community and for our customer. So I've been very clear about that one message that changes mindsets. I've been very clear about working with customers in each of those regions where I am to help drive the change. So certainly I've been very focused on one simple message, that this is about a good thing for our company, which is going to be for the greater good of the community and our customers, and this is about what we should be doing. So one is being constant on one message and making it really simple. One is about understanding that I have an education role in my business and that it doesn't stop once I feel that I've communicated enough. I need to go back to the start because I haven't done that. I think one of the biggest lessons I learnt when I first started with Fujitsu was that I was very good at communicating at the top layer, and I felt that I had the exec team very across everything we needed to do. But I still hadn't changed what we would call in Australia the barbecue conversation. And the barbecue conversation is the conversation that our employees have at home with their family and with their community, and that's the conversation we need to change. So my next layer of learning was to say, let's change that barbecue conversation so that every one of our employees is proud to work for this company and can see the benefits of what we're doing.
And that's engagement Carrie's talking about, the first principle.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good time to pass the baton on to the next communicator. Jim, you have an interesting background aside from the work you've done with the Climate Group. You're the co-founder of the Climate Group, which has done great work, but you also were in the Olympics, and you were an Olympics-level rower, right? 92, 96 Olympics?
I was. I mean, I can't really claim any link between that and what I'm doing at the moment, other than potentially sustainable transport. But it was, I mean, working in this sector is something that I've wanted to do since I was about 10 years old. You know, I grew up in a rural area as well in the northwest of the UK, and ever since I was, 10, 11, 12, I wanted to work in an environmental NGO. I also grew up in the 80s, though, which anyone else here who's probably from the US or the UK, was a very aspirational period in time. And actually, having just moved to Beijing a few months ago, I feel a little bit like I'm back in the 80s in terms of the pace of growth there and people's aspirations for a better life. And what became clear, actually, as in my late 20s, as I started to get into working in the environmental sector, was that we've done a very good job since the 70s of describing the problem and a vision of the future that we wanted to avoid as a society, and not really done a great job of thinking about, well, what if we actually fix this now, and what would life look like in 40, 50 years' time? Because our view as an organisation is that fundamentally good business and good government is going to solve these challenges. We're entering the urban millennium now. If you think about the world's urban population by mid-century is going to have doubled, which means that all of the cities that we have built through human history to this point, we're going to do again in the next 40 years. And actually, population is inevitably going to plateau out as we develop. So this is going to be the moment in human history when we build the world's cities. If you look at these are the mega trends going forward, really. If you think about we have 2 billion people who have disposable income in the world now. By 2030, that's going to be 5 billion. So, in 25 years on purchasing power, we're going to triple the world economy. So again, we've spent all of human history building an economy this size. Just in the next 25 years, we're going to do another 2 next to that. So at the same time, and this has many positive aspects to it as well. So, you know, we're adding 3 months a year to life expectancy. We've come a long way as a civilization.